Buongiorno, ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back to the channel, I hope you're all doing well. It's Thursday, we are playing on Sunday against Napoli, but yesterday I didn't record the day after Juventus Udinese, so we will go towards it today with tops, with flops, with an advice for Luciano Spalletti. Of course it will be shorter if I would have done it yesterday, but also the medical updates. How will Juventus play without Federico Gatti, without Dusan Vlahovic? How long will we miss these two players? We'll speak about all of that in today's video. If you didn't yet, please put a maximum of like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I really want to say that I'm extremely sorry that yesterday I didn't find the strength, I didn't find the courage and the energy to record a post-Juve Udinese. I was extremely tired and also mentally a bit down. Maybe because in November I did so many things and now I start to feel the impact of spending so much energy in traveling, on doing and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and you know how it happens. And then I said, but at the end, who cares? And that's where I was wrong, and that's where I need really to say sorry, because yesterday YouTube, they launched, starting with North America, with the recap of your 2025, a bit like Spotify is doing it, so I'm happy that YouTube is doing it, and I started to receive the messages from the Juventini of the world, with some people are saying, Beppe, look at that, I am extremely proud because I am in your top 0.5 viewers with 580 videos viewed on your channel, or people totally crazy like Thomas Maklouf, my buddy, my friend, long-time watcher, racing Beppe, look at that, 0.1% of viewers. That's where I belong to. 776 videos watched in 2025. Incredible. Other people, 200. Other people, some 40 videos watched. But also some people are telling me, Beppe, you were the top channel that I watched today. Bigger than the overlap, bigger than follow. And some people even told me, Beppe, I watch more your content than one of Juve. And that's why when yesterday I thought, at the end, who cares if I miss one day? I was totally wrong. So thank you for all your support, my friends. Really, really appreciate it. Let's speak about Juve with Federico Gatti. Today we received the latest update because he went in Lyon. Meniscus injury. He will be out. They are telling us 1 month. Ragazzi, to me, it's a bit more than 1 month. Maybe not 2, but 1 month and a half, 5-6 weeks. We will miss Federico Gatti. We already understood it immediately that it was serious. We didn't know how much. The first leaks were meniscus, and indeed it is reported it's a meniscus. We saw it also yesterday when he went for the first test at the J Medical. Is it a problem? Yes, of course it is a problem. Not that he was a starter, because that's what we understood with Luciano Spalletti in his first 5-6 games, but Gatti, on top of Bremer, on top of Rugani, because the three of them are missing, will not be there against Napoli. Who do we have? Kalulu, Kelly, and Koopmeiners. We can already imagine the starting defense against the team of Antonio Conte. How many games can he miss? Well, potentially Napoli game, Paphos in Champions League, Bologna, Roma, Pisa, Juventus against Lecce, Sassuolo, and here we are at the 6th of January, so we are really speaking about 1 month, could be a bit more. Then Juventus is in a way smiling because Rugani could be back this week starting training again. Not sure if he will make it for Napoli. Bremer will start, that's what they tell you, that's what they tell us, to be back with the team next week. Not sure that he will be called up for Paphos, but maybe for the Bologna game on the bench. You remember where we told you, and we spoke about it with Dr. Mohamed, that he told us that forget about it, Napoli is way too short, and at the end, unfortunately, it is what it is. So we will have a few games without Bremer before he comes back, without Rugani before he comes back, but a long time before Gatti is back. In terms of schedule, it's not that much, 5-6 weeks, but if you're looking at the schedule, how many games one after the other, it's really a lot. And it's a pity because Kalulu, that was already playing all the minutes and the seconds at disposal, 19 games out of 19, well, we have to ask him for a bit more sacrifices with Pedro Felipe that will be continued to be called up. Not sure when we will see him making his debut. Not sure if we will see him against Napoli. I don't think so personally. Maybe against Paphos. Who knows? Depending, of course, if we are able to close the games. Not like we did in the other previous one. Dusan Vlahovic, we know it. Also him will go under surgery. It's a decision that he took. We will not see him before 3. Some people are even saying 4 months, so before April. We know that the Campionato Serie A, the league is ending the end of May, so it could be that we don't see Dusan Vlahovic anymore, or at least for maybe a few games at the end in the month of May. But I think it's the right decision if we are speaking about being selfish, thinking only about the player, because surgery is better for him. Takes longer, but he can come back at his total level. Instead, if he would go for conservative, we would have seen him a bit earlier, but the problem is that from the moment that you have these kinds of injury, then they are repetitive. So if you're thinking about the player and the person himself, I think it's a good decision that he took. Of course, now it's Jonathan David and Lois Openda that need to step up. And honestly, from the way that I saw them against Udinese, we can say that the first answer has been given. Of course, it was a Coppa Italia. Of course, if you're looking at the reports of the game, you will see goals for Jonathan David, 0, assist 0, Openda 0 and 0. But on the other side, for the people that or were here for the watch along or watched the game at home, well, you know it, guys. They scored. Both of them scored. And beautiful goals, which is increasing also la autostima, the self-awareness. Gazzetta dello Sport is giving us two options for the next upcoming games, playing with a 3-4-2-1 or a 4-3-3. If I edit the video, you will just see that it's actually exactly the same lineup, with the same 11-man Di Gregorio into the goal. Kalulu, Kelly Koopmeiners, McKennie, Locatelli, Thuram, Cambiaso, Conceição, Yildiz behind David in a 3-4-2-1. In the 4-3-3, they are just actually putting Cambiaso a bit more deeper, playing as a left back, McKennie as a central, but you know it, the movements on the field, Cambiaso goes up and you go back to a 3-4-2-1. So it doesn't change really a lot. It's more like movement that we see on the field, like we saw them also against Udinese, because yes, it was a 3-4-2-1, 3-5-2 if we want, but in the building phase, in the early building phase, we saw a lot of time playing with 4 in the back, and I believe that this is why we had some difficulties to understand it, why we were live, because the change of formation was constantly in the game, from 3 to 4 to from 3 to 4. You know that Spalletti asked to be also beautiful, winning first as a priority, but also beautiful. And can we say it that Juventus Udinese was a beautiful game, probably the most beautiful of this season, and that's already a accomplished mission, because and we won and we were beautiful. I had a lot of fun in the game Juve Udinese. Then were we perfect? Absolutely not. Spalletti said it himself after the game. Yes, beautiful, great, fantastic, we won, but we need to be faster and also more naughty, more aggressive on the field, and I totally agree with him. But Spalletti is on a mission. The words of Giorgio Chiellini that yesterday spoke at an event, saying Spalletti is on a mission. He's living only for Juve. He's there in La Continassa. He didn't even take a house at rent or no, just there at the J Hotel. He's living La Continassa 24/7, working, and also that leadership, that exemplarity is actually contagious, because the players are watching it, they are seeing it. And Kalulu after the game said, "Oh, we are following the coach because he knows how we do it." And we start to see some progress, slightly in the game like Udinese, and that's where we enter the mini debrief of the Coppa Italia game, where Juventus totally dominated. I never seen in that game Juventus in danger. I predicted and I was demanding a clean sheet. That's what happened. That's why it's also super difficult to give a rating to Di Gregorio, because we didn't see Di Gregorio. Just one time, but with that lob over him, that was a cancelled goal, but I believe that everyone understood it was an offside, so nobody really went until the end of it, which is sometimes a danger. You never know in life. But anyway, except of that, no danger for him. Juventus that pushed, Juventus that was beautiful, Juventus that scored more than 2 goals, like we can read it in the reports, because there is that ghost offside still. I don't know, some people are telling me Beppe, the official images are telling it. I don't know. Guys, let's go over it. Let's not make a case about it. I already ranted a lot during the watch along. But Jonathan David, the goal that he's making, that second one, the one that has been cancelled, mamma mia, what a goal. What a rocket. Showing us signs that he is there. But also that first one, the intelligence after the pass of Teun Koopmeiners to leave that ball And then being there between two players, I still believe that he touched the ball at last, but people are telling me no. Anyway, I don't care. Really, really, really beautiful. Juventus that dominated, Juventus that created, Juventus that was a bit more faster, Juventus that tried to play a bit faster, but also in one touch. And also the formation put by Luciano Spalletti was a convincing one. If yesterday you watch a bit of Napoli, they won at penalties. I believe that Antonio Conte was pissed off because he didn't want to continue in that competition, but he played with a C team yesterday. He really played with a C team, hoping that they were eliminated. Juventus, they want to go all in that competition, where the next game, I believe it will be in February, not sure, will play in the home of Atalanta of Palladino, that yes, they destroyed Genoa 4-0. No, I cannot say a lot of bad things about Juve Udinese because it was a really beautiful game. So I want to go towards top flops and then an advice for Luciano. The tops, to me, Koopmeiners, Miretti and McKennie. I want to put a bullet point in one line for these three. I don't want to go individual. I believe that I focused a lot, probably a bit too much, on the beautiful performance of Teun Koopmeiners, because Teun Koopmeiners, we need to take the context. He's a player that 3 months ago nobody could mention before people were starting to really feel bad. We don't want to speak about him. We don't want to see him. Not only in the starting 11, but we also don't want to see him on the bench. Look at the performance that he did. Not only as a left center back, but this time also as a midfielder. With some, the passes from the goals are coming from Teun Koopmeiners, and the start of the actions comes from Teun. So beautiful performance for him. We will not see him in the midfield in the next upcoming game because we are waiting for some defenders to join us, Rogani, Bremer, but it's also a player that convinced me, but not only thanks to him, also thanks to the one that was next to him, playing a bit more behind, Miretti, that I judged doing a beautiful game against Udinese, but watching the game again the second time, I can tell you that he actually played much better than I was initially thinking. So the performance of Cope has been also influenced by the beautiful work of Miretti. He was not 100% convinced. If you are looking him on the bench, he wanted to do more, and I was also expecting a bit more, but a beautiful performance of him. And then Weston McKennie running everywhere, extremely tactically intelligent in covering two roles, a bit more offensive when we needed him there, a bit more on the right side when we needed him there, and then dropping back. Actually 3 roles for Weston McKennie in one. A player that every coach, they want to have. A player that you want to have because you know that it's the Swiss knife. You can use him where you want, and in terms of sacrificing and giving everything, that's a player that is doing it. So that's the first top. Then Jonathan David and Openda. That's also another flop, and I take both of them because we know that now without Dusan Vlahovic, it's time for them to prove. And Spalletti, while speaking really well and taking his time speaking about every individual, when he's speaking about them, he's a bit more harsh. He expects much more from them. Well, to me, they gave already a first answer. Now, of course, Udinese was one thing. Let's see in Napoli, Paphos, Bologna, Roma. That will be a test for both of them, but of course, for the entire team. What else? Can we speak about Dzegrova? Can we speak about Dzegrova? My third top. 7 minutes of Dzegrova, but they were enough to make me totally crazy. What a player. It's a totally different player. It's another level of player. And I know, my friends, that you are here already thinking, I want to see him against Napoli from the first minute. Look at what he's doing. If he's able to do that for 90 minutes, mamma mia, Spalletti needs to test him, needs to launch him, needs to start him. Ragazzi, it's not possible. You need to listen to the videos that I'm making because I'm not selling you BS. Because I'm reporting the exact words of Spalletti, the ones of Tudor, the one of the coach of Kosovo. At the moment, he cannot increase that workload. It's not possible. So at the moment, we need to manage him for not risking to have him out. He will constantly grow. At least this is what Spalletti is hoping because he's a huge, big fan of him. But what a player. What a player. Incredible. If I was able to, if they would ask him, Beppe, give your knee to Dzegrova, give your right foot, give your left foot, give your arm, I would give it in a donation. Here, that's my donation for you, Dzegrova. Add on here, play 90 minutes, but that's not possible, my friends. I would love so many things, but it's not possible. So we need to minute by minute increasing, seeing him more and being patient with that player, because from the moment that he will have 45 minutes, 75 minutes, 90 minutes, we are speaking about a huge big upgrade about you, but that's not the case at the moment. The flops, I would put them also in a bullet point. 3 players: Gatti, Cabal, Cambiaso, they didn't convince me. Gatti, unfortunately, now is out, but he doesn't convince me as a center back, so it's a solution that we need to review when he will be back. Cabal comes from an injury, comes from a bad moment, that penalty caused, but he didn't really convince me. And then Cambiaso, and that's probably my biggest worry, is still not convincing me. Also in an easy game on paper, like the one that we played in Coppa Italia. The thing that I disliked the most was the non-celebration of Jonathan David on that first goal. Something that I don't understand. Something that needs absolutely to change, because there are players that need a bit more than other ones to be celebrated, and Jonathan David is one of them. We need to show that they are involved, that they are part of the team, that we understand that it's important for them to be there and to be celebrated. So Jonathan David's celebration not celebrated was something that I didn't like. And then Yildiz 85 minutes, probably Spalletti exaggerated. I can understand that you are playing him from the first minute. Why not? Because you really want to go through in that game, and you don't know yet who you can trust, who you cannot trust in that team, because you are a new coach. But 85 minutes, probably it's a stretch for a player that needs to be at 200% against Napoli. An advice for Luciano Spalletti, and I'm sure he already knows, but continue to stay on top of every detail and ask more to the team. Don't believe that the Udinese game is enough, the double Udinese game, one with Brambilla, one with him, because I also want to remember that the start of Serie A in the last 2 years have been extremely great. 2 years ago, 6-1 against Salernitana, where we were all thinking, attenzione. The next game in Coppa Italia, 4-0 against Frosinone, where we were all thinking, attenzione. Last year, we start fantastically well, the Coppa Italia, 4-0 against Cagliari, where we are saying, attenzione, we are here. And no, because then we were out against Empoli 1-1. So 3 wins in a row is something that we need to celebrate in 3 diverse competitions: Champions League, Serie A, Coppa Italia. But now the real tests are starting. Napoli, Paphos, Bologna, Roma. Before continuing, these 4 games will tell us a lot about the individualities, about the coach, about the way of playing, but where the ambitions of Juve 25-26 can be. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to put a maximum of like, continue to subscribe, and if you are here at the end and you still have these hype points on mobile phone, which are really great because they are pushing the algorithm, please do it now. Thank you, grazie, forza, Juve.